Hey, what's up, guys? This is Bar Austin. We are all things Austin, Texas, from the born and raised perspective. And we have a very special guest on here tonight from Daily Austin Music. And just going to keep talking more on musicians and how deep can we get there in that conversation where no one's getting the inside scoop. We're giving it to you. Cheers, guys.
So, first of all, just kind of, take us back to, March 17th when they closed the bars down. Like, where were you thinking about from, a musician standpoint and then also from a standpoint of Daily Austin Music?
As a musician, I'd been off since basically the first weekend in March. We were making plans to be done. And then I stopped playing. I stopped going anywhere. I think the 11th. So we were pretty early, just going, no, I'm just going to see what happens and, whatever. I'm lucky in that most of what I do is online and in studio stuff. So I play live very little anymore. So that aspect wasn't really a big change. For Daily Austin Music, when they canceled South by, it seemed as though that, because a couple of days before they canceled South by, the mayor comes out and he's like, everything's fine. Everybody's fine. Nothing to worry about. And the next day it's like, South by's canceled. We're all going to die. Everybody stay inside.
Yeah, it escalated really quickly.
Right. And then the day after that, he comes in, does it with the judge and the senator guy and says, no, even though we canceled South by, still go out and, patronize bars and restaurants and all this stuff. And it was just so from Daily Austin Music, it was just a cluster that was fun to watch and make fun of.
I do want to back you up there real quick. All of Austin will never forget the mayor sitting there with his margarita and enjoying that margarita and saying, it's so great to be alive. We're just out here enjoying ourselves. And then what was it? The next day?
I think it was closed. We were shut down. Yeah, 36 hours later, it was like, no, leave. We're all going to die very soon.
Yeah.
And the bad thing is, Austin will forget, unfortunately. What they won't forget is everything else that dude has done, which is put us in just a terrible position just from the get-go. So he doesn't have a chance coming back. But unfortunately, this all got so crazy so quick. Fortunately, I think there's going to be a lot of forgiveness going forward. Kind of about, all right, you reacted like that, and then I reacted like that, and then we reacted like that, and then in 6 months we'll look back and go, oh, that's who was right and that's who was wrong, and be able to sort this out. But until then, it's kind of just stepping on eggshells with people, because you never know really where people are at, and it can change on a moment's notice. Because my family, I got wife and 3 kids. We've been in the house since the week before, so the 11th or 12th of March. It's May 25th. My kids even come up to me. My 6-year-old will come up to me and go, I want to get out of the house. I totally get that. Let's go out back in the backyard. It's so everybody's going kind of crazy. The fights are getting more fun to watch and way more fun to participate in. The arguments are really fun to watch and really informative. If not factually, it's very informative to see who's on whose side, what teams have been formed, and sadly, who's desperate and acting that way and who's not. And that's kind of, take it for what it is, but it's been easier to map out the music scene with all of this happening to see where the ties are, and that's been very fun for me, because I'm obsessed with just the ecosystem that I'm lucky enough to have given me a living for the past almost 15 years in Austin. but like, it's just so much fun to watch because we're all nuts. Every last one of us, we wouldn't be in this whole thing if we weren't just straight up crazy. So like, you get a bunch of crazy people that are really creative arguing about stuff and then get this really desperate thing. So yeah, but I think overall for the music scene, for the music industry, if we let everything die, it'll be the best thing that ever happened to the music industry.
Stem on that a little further. When you say everything dies,
Mm-hmm.
how deep are you going with that by stating that?
Well, okay, Austin specifically, we're going to lose up to 80 to 90% of what we would consider music first venues.
Yeah.
Now we have like 260 whatever venues in town, but they're not like dedicated music venues. We got like 60 to 70 of those. We might end up with like, 10 by the end of this thing. That would be great. Because it's not great that would happen. What would be great is with that, a lot of the shot bars and a lot of the stuff that gets conflated with these really actual music first venues will also go away. But more than that, we're starting to separate in leagues. And if we only have 10 to 20 really great places to play, competition, friendly competition, if you want it that way, but competition would win out to where you have to be better, not musically, because nobody gives a crap about your music. You have to be better at getting people out and building a community than the other bands. That will be fun.
The stuff that you've been preaching for a while, the stuff about actually marketing your shows and marketing the music and things like that.
And like, let's be straight. And like, I haven't really gotten into this, and I guess I should soon, but like, let's do it now. I've been really lucky to make a living for 15 years in Austin playing music. First of all, that's stupid. That is incredibly lucky. I am incredibly blessed. And since like 2008, we have lived in a great economy with very little problems whatsoever. So like, let's just get that off the top first. If you weren't killing it before, you have to change what you were doing now because things are just different. And if you were killing it before, the game has completely changed. And that's awesome because the game sucked before, like straight up. Because there was the reason I got to make a living compared to the next guy who didn't had very little to do with anything but luck and circumstance and just being in the right, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't based on anything that was about, it was just, we had an abundance and I was very lucky to get opportunities. Very lucky, and I'm very thankful for those opportunities, but like going forward, that kind of stuff's not going to be there anymore because the expendable income is going to be gone. The venues are going to be less. People going out to see live music are going to be less, but people doing house shows has increased. People watching live streams has increased. And what better way to get better at your craft than doing live streams and getting immediate feedback from people? The best thing about playing at a bar used to be you would get feedback from drunk people, which drunk people had no inhibitions and would tell you exactly what they thought. Oh, dude, that's the internet. Like, go live stream like on Reddit and see what people say about you. Like, that's way more accurate than drunk people at a bar. So like that's a level up right there.
Because they're hidden behind.
Yeah.
When you're hidden behind that little window, man, I can say whatever. I'm going to unfold everything. Oh, yeah.
So, and that's way more valuable as an artist to get people's honest feedback. So, like there's so much that's changing. The thing I'm most excited about globally, but especially in Austin, is let's see what the live music entertainment industry looks like without a complete reliance on alcohol. Let's just see. Let's see what happens, man.
That's interesting, yeah.
If you look at live music, especially in Austin, the people that benefit from it most is the city and the state. Right. Because of, either property taxes on the venues and all that kind of stuff, or straight up the city parking. That's where the money goes. Not to mention the DUIs they get you afterwards driving home. Like,
with so much nightlife going on, we end up being called one of the drunkest cities in the entire nation.
A lot of the time we get paid based on bar sales. Like, that's just straight up integration. You know what I mean? Like, that's not even like, oh, it's part of like what? No, it's like you get paid based on how much you make people drink alcohol. Oh, damn. But like, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm looking forward to complete just wasteland fallout. Like, everything's gone. Let's build it up from the bottom up and based on house shows and community, because, and it goes back to what Austin is. Austin was never venues. It was never businesses. It was never a freaking square with walls. It's the people. And like, the people here are awesome. Always have been, probably always will be. And there are also really crappy people who have lots of money and are finding ways to manipulate the community and the musicians to band together to save property owners and business owners. That's dumb. And that will backfire. So it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning. If we let everything fall, we have a chance to make a new industry that LA and Nashville and New York don't have a chance to make because they're entrenched in old ways that they're just going to freaking go down with the ship. We don't have that except for alcohol. That's it. So like, we could make a whole new industry. But unfortunately, what's going to happen is the city is going to buy property that venues sit on. They're going to sit on it for anywhere from 18 months to 4 or 5 years and then turn around and sell it to development for pennies on the dollar. And the venues will move away. The downtown scene will just be empty hotels and a convention center nobody ever wanted. But we're still going to be playing. But we'll be playing in house shows. We'll be playing online, and we'll, God willing, and the creek don't rise, we'll be touring again, because that's what Austin really is for us. And it was for me until I got off the road when we started having kids. You came here to get in a band or put together a band and then go out and then come back to this little oasis that was home. I don't know when making a living playing music only in Austin became this thing, but like, you shouldn't be able to do that. Like, you just shouldn't. And like playing live music in one city, like, no. Unless you're playing once a month and, you know, making everything you need to make once a month, cool. But like, playing every day is just like a side guy in one city, or like a covers guy or what, like, that's crazy. Like, nobody should want to do that. You know, that's not what this was all about. I'm really looking forward to, because, you know, when going gets tough, you tend to get rid of the weak. And we haven't had one of those in the music industry in a really long time. Like, since the late 90s when Napster kind of just screwed everything up. And now we get to see, like, who's doing this for life? Who's doing this because they can't physically or mentally capable of doing anything else? And then who's doing this for fun? Unfortunately or fortunately, the soul market is a lot like the real estate market. And in Texas, it's always for sale, and it's always a seller's market. This is especially true in Austin for both souls and real estate, especially right now.
Once someone hears about Austin, they say, "What is this place?"
Like, I came here to make a living playing music, and because it was only here, or like New York, I can't stand snow. LA, I actually tried. No, I was not ready. I was not okay. But like, Austin feels like home, and it's because of the people. It's not because of the venues. It's not because Cheer Up Charlie's. So hey, I got this thing that I'm wondering, and maybe y'all can help me because I'm not smart enough to do a lot of this stuff. So the mayor's wife either owns or represents the person that owns 900 Red River, which is Cheer Up Charlie's, which is in the Red River Cultural District. which the Red River Cultural District is trying to sell to the city. Now, how is it that is a thing, and how is it that Gary Keller and his whole Music Moves Austin, Red River Cultural District, Music Venue Alliance, and all this stuff has kind of put themselves behind a real estate deal, and the musicians are for it?
No, I mean, it's interesting you bring that up. One of the interviews I had, we talked about the Red River District and how that specific musician was wanting to see it turn into more of an original scene, and so hopefully, I mean, that would be the dream of what could happen, but I don't know why any musician would be for it at this point. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't personally think that enough musicians truly know.
That's probably where it lies.
Enough about it yet. And they're just, it's easy for someone in a creative setting of things, and they're just out doing so much. They have so much in their mind already that you then ask about something and they just go, oh yeah, sure, I'm for that. It's very easy for a mindset.
It's just like that thing you did at city council with the hotel occupancy tax. I mean,
oh yeah.
Like people didn't, realize anything about that. I'm sure a lot of musicians are really reaching out for that money now. And of course, I don't know what they ended up distributing that money out to.
So as what I know so far is today's the 25th. On the 27th, the city is supposed to come out with basically an application and guidelines of how musicians will be able to apply for this money. That application process, I think, is a week long and starts in June. I want to say like the first week of June. But like, it's the city, people. So, like, hold up. It's going to take a while. But like, what I'm afraid is
sound ordinance, because they were out there the first night the bars opened and they were trying to shut people down for.
That's not the city. That's the cops.
Well, yeah.
And that's, and weird enough, that's different entities, because, whatever. But no, what I'm afraid will happen is that, I gotta be careful how I say that. No, don't. What I'm afraid will happen is there will be token donations to people that will placate the community by saying, oh, look, the city gave them money and we love them. And they actually needed money. But it'll be maybe 2% of what they end up giving out completely, and that will go to mostly venues and mostly property owners and mostly people that sure on paper need it. But like, I know, and you and I know, like, we know people that if they could have taken shifts at HEB or UPS or whatever, and they're still not meeting their bills, selling off everything we own, like, and granted, that's how we got into this, like, cool. But here's the deal. If you're gonna say it's relief for musicians, there's a certain way that you should go about things. If you're gonna say that this is relief for live music, then there's a certain way that you can go about things. And the distinction has not been made. And that's what's super frustrating to me. Because if we're just trying to save an industry, then yeah, give it to the venue owners, give it to, do your tax write-off, do all that kind of stuff. But don't sell it like you're helping the community of people.
I kind of feel like it's been more of like, you have community organizers and business owners. People are basically collecting money because it's a very easy thing to say. We're giving it to the musicians. We're giving it to the music industry. Mm-hmm. But it's all so vague to begin with what we're talking about. Where is it truly going? And it's not being cited to where it really is going.
Part of me really wants to get in the weeds with that. And part of me wants to look at the musicians and go, dude, why didn't you save? Like, what are you doing? Are you running this as a business, or are you playing around like a little kid? Because that's how most of them are living this life. And those are the ones that are dropping out and looking for jobs on LinkedIn and stuff.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. You have to basically prepare for all these shows to go away at any point anyway, from a business standpoint.
Unless you had a contract
Right.
that specifically stated for the next 365 days you were going to get this amount of money. You know, like if you're covered for the next year, then by all means, dude, you're good, man. Like,
but how can we reasonably expect musicians to plan for it when South by Southwest, a large freaking organization, didn't even plan for it? They didn't get even insurance on it ever getting canceled. It doesn't make any sense.
That see, this is my problem with Austin in the grandest sense of the word. A lot of the times we do really stupid things that have no excuse to be done, and you just can't say anything about it other than, oh damn, that was really stupid. And that's kind of how we are. Like, why is the arc where it is? Like, what? Why, why is just so many things? Why?
So what do you think we do to change it going forward?
Let it all die. Let it all die and let a new industry emerge out of necessity and creativity. Nothing that anybody will plan will work. But those of us that have to make art for a living and have to do stuff for a living will find a way to do that. Not based on who's getting the biggest tax break, who wants the most votes, and who owns that box. Because that's how our industry works right now. And who's selling the most alcohol. And that sucks, man. And it's sucked like that for a long time. But if we don't bail ourselves out, then we have a chance to build something really cool that's really Austin, that we basically will get a second chance reset back to the armadillo. Be like, okay, how did we screw this up the first time? Let's try and do this better. And like we're very, very lucky to have people that were present and active when Austin was the place that we all still pretend like it is. The reason we all moved here, the reason we all come here, the reason I want to stay here, blah, 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 that thing, there's still people alive and well that were part of that. And where New York screwed up, where Nashville screwed up, less so in Nashville, where LA has really, really screwed up, is not listening to those that came before them and finding out what went wrong, not what went right. Instead of asking, how much coke did you do in the 70s? Asking, when was the first time you noticed the wrong kind of cars were driving up and down your street? And what did you do about that? And who did you talk to? And what was the feeling around that? And where did you go? You know what I mean? Like, let's go reverse engineer this, because now we're at that point again.
Right. Well, TJ talks about a lot that the changing point for him was like in what, 2008?
2008. I was in the military, and I had come home on my first leave. And I came home to a place that literally from 2005, so 3 years prior to that, it was a completely different place. It was still feeling like the 90s. It was that real just technology industry coming in. Nobody knew what that was yet. It just kind of, it's a job or so here and there coming in. And 2008, it just blew up, man. It was like a fire. And it's been like that, and a constant. Yeah. It's been like that just constantly.
Yeah. Well, and 2008 is an interesting year because and I've thought about this a lot, and like to bring it like to national politics, because why not? When Obama won, like Austin blew up, and it was so immediate that like everything was awesome. Like I love everybody here. Like everybody here is here for a really cool reason, I think. And the more people that move here, the better. The problem is we don't have an infrastructure to support more than like 20,000 people. Our roads suck. Not to even mention the music, anything like that. Like our roads are terrible. But like the people that are here came here because they're a specific kind of dreamer. And that's cool. We've always been more chill than it looks. Like even like the Willie thing, like I wasn't there. Like I'm 35, I'm not that old. But like when he came and played at the Armadillo, and like it was the hippies and the rednecks, and I've interviewed people about this, that like the feeling was, shh, don't tell anybody. This is awesome. Like, don't let this leave this room. You know what I mean? And now it's just like, if you have anything cool, you have to tell everybody about it immediately and all that stuff. And like Austin, I love the city because the city is still as cool as it was back then in very specific pieces and parts that you have to just luck into finding in like these specific communities, because like all of that still exists. Old Austin is still 100% here. You know, from the house shows and the studios and just the like people's living rooms and stuff, like Old Austin is alive and well. What would be cool if the industry started to reflect that instead of what we've become from selling out. Like I read today that I didn't know City Hall is built basically on Liberty Lunch. Like,
oh, Liberty Lunch was such an amazing spot.
Like, but at the same time, and I've gotten into arguments about this recently too. If the city is on your side, you're doing it wrong. Like, we're supposed to be the counterculture. Like that by definition is be against the city. Like, so we should have an antagonist like that, and we should be thankful for that. And we should use that to get attention to our scene and our community. But instead, we buddy up to the people with money because we hope they're going to give us some, I guess.
Not one native grew up in that way of the handout.
Mm-hmm.
And handout is very huge in the city now. It is an unbelievable stir that you can just walk
that's the
out
goal. It's the
and
goal
meet 25 people right away, and they're just doing this, putting their hands out. It's unreal, man.
We pity the creatives in this town. We are the creative pitiers. That's what we do. Our entire marketing thing is, oh, look at how poor these musicians are. We should give them some money. Man, no. There's like a bunch of us out here working our tails off, making it, like, and figuring it out. And we're like, I'm not saying we should get that much or anything like that, but like, we have to at some point draw a line and go, this is culture, this is community, and then this is everything else. And we used to be really good at drawing that line in Austin, and we ran out of ink or something. I don't know.
Well, and you have to prop yourself up, like, as an artist. Like, you can't wait for somebody else to do it for you, because
right.
You know, like, it may or may not happen. And if you're fortunate enough to get it, it's not like banking. It's different, you know, and you have to run it like a business, even though it's totally different.
It is and it isn't. Because if you're like, if I'm running a donut factory or a donut shop, right? And 90% of my business is to this, lawyer office down the road, and like, he's literally paying all my bills, everything. If that dude goes out of business, I'm screwed. That's our music industry. You know what I mean? Like, we have hitched our wagon to this alcohol and real estate truck that we can't get off of, because that's what's paying, our way.
So is that why you started like Daily Austin Music in the beginning, is to kind of diversify yourself out? Or
I would love to say that was the case, Sean. I would love to say that was the case. I started that. It really did. And it ended up being an outlet and diversification. I've had more fun and made more contacts and just done more because of this than you can playing a guitar gig for some country guy. You know what I mean? Like, that the networking possibilities are much greater doing that. But no, I started it because I had to believe I wasn't the only one that thought the way I did and was making a living the way I did. I've since figured out that we all make livings in completely different ways, which is the coolest thing ever, because that's what a real industry is. And that's awesome. That means we all have other options when one dries up. I've been very, very, very blessed and grateful for the people that have reached out and just said, man, I think that too. And most of it is in text messages and direct messages, because nobody wants to be seen. talking bad, which is kind of funny because I don't really understand that. But like part of me, I do, whatever. But we have a really bad lack of accountability in the creative sector. And that was a big motivation of mine, is because that's how good things are done. You know, you make good records when you say, hey, dude, play that again because that sucked.
Well, and I feel like part of it's because you have, I mean, not to single out any one place, but like places like the Chronicle who only focus on this like certain group of people. And it's just like, if it's the Austin Chronicle, it has to be all of Austin and not just this little tiny sector.
And another reason I started the show is if they don't have competition, I can't blame them for anything.
No.
Because like, what do you do when you don't have competition? You get complacent and you start covering The Bachelor in the music section.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I got mad.
I saw that.
You have news outlets, and you wouldn't have the Chronicle, you wouldn't have KView, whoever it is. No one's actually talking to the creatives. No one's getting their perspective and their conversation. And that's where Sean and I went into, incorporating our podcast into it, of let's talk to musicians. Let's talk to the artists. Let's talk to the people out there creating and grinding the wheel
and good, because they don't deserve it. Because how have y'all been doing a lot of interviews so far?
Yeah. Last week I did 8 interviews in one day.
So I think I've done something like, it's over 100 that I've actually recorded interviews of, but I've only like actually drawn and published like, I don't know, 40 or whatever the number is since Christmas. But one of the most amazing things I found was we're boring and we suck at telling stories and we don't know how to do interviews and everybody's trying to be safe, and that's not fun. That was really frustrating for me and still is, because like we have to do better than that. And we will, because like since quarantine happened, like there's been a lot of little interview shows popping up and like podcast shows popping up, and that's freaking awesome. And we all have to give shine back to Johnny Gowdy, who was basically the originator of Austin musicians interviewing musicians that I know of. If I'm wrong, please DM me and correct me. But like dudes at like episode 1000, like something crazy like that. And like, he's a player. He's a, you know what I mean? Like he's like,
see, there you go. He's a player.
Oh, yeah. Yes. There you go, Sean.
I was telling him about that the other day. He was like, what are you talking about, players? I'm like, they're players, dude.
Yeah. They're either real ones or they're not. You know?
Yes.
But no, like he's a real dude. But anyway, like you've seen a lot of this stuff come up. Like Ray Prin's got a show. The Austin, Texas Musicians Group has a show. Oscar Ornelas has a show now on Channel 16, which is awesome. Bill Ogden's been having a show forever. Like anytime that we start doing stuff like this, we're going to have a music media scene. And when we have that, we will start to learn how to tell better stories. We will start to learn how to have a 7-minute interview. I will start to learn how to have a 15-minute interview instead of a 45-minute interview like right now. But whatever, it's late. I can do whatever I want. How are your editing skills?
No, trust me. It was 4 hours initially that I edited last week, and I got it down to 2.5.
The more stuff like this happens, the better. The more house shows happen, the better. The less we play in venues that take 80% of what's sold and part of the door and blah, and I get it, cool, whatever. The less we do that, the better. Because venues as we know them are dead. Period. Especially in Austin. It's never going to be like it was. And that's awesome. Because it sucked. Because I don't know how much you went down, like downtown in the last couple of years. But the average show attendance is something like 4.
Yep. Unless it's walk-in from whatever they already have, or like, but that's not
Still,
really,
I mean,
that's not a music audience per se.
Even with that, average it out. Yep. It's going to be really close to single digits.
And I'll say, I mean, that's interesting to hear you say that, because of course I've seen it myself, and I'm not speaking for Sean, and he's seen himself as well, because he's in the scene. Mm-hmm. But fully hearing it from yourself now, I can go back and say, okay, wow, my mind was correct, that it was dying, and how much I never really fully realized and knew it.
It's not dying. It's been dead. It's been dead. Somebody put it up on stilts and somebody inflated it with some fake money, but it has been dead for so long. Like so long. And one of the biggest things for me, and this was like 2004 or 5, I was playing in a country band. We're doing like the dance hall circuit in Texas, because that's what you do. You play these dance halls, right? We're playing 2-step music. Boom, 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 right?
That's fun.
We take a break. Oh, it's great. I was playing bass, which is more fun.
Oh, okay. Nice.
But like about, we play an hour and a half or whatever. People are 2-stepping like crazy. They're swing dancing. They're blah, blah, blah. Everything's crazy. We take a break for 15, 20 minutes, go out, do what we do, come back in. And it's Sir Mix-a-Lot, the same exact group of people twerking on the same dance floor, wearing the same, everything's the same. That's what's happened that the business of music has not dealt with yet, is people don't like one kind of music. People don't want to go see 8 hours of country bands playing 30-minute sets back to back. Nobody wants to see 4 hours of songwriters. Nobody. This is not magic. And that's the thing I think Austin can learn from this, is we don't do magic. We do business. Now, it can be really great, and it can have these spiritual things and have this magic too. But we do business because it costs money to buy a sandwich. That's it. And we've been kind of propped up on this, well, musicians are these cool people, and what they do is no, man. Either they're doing it and making money doing it, or they're doing it and working at the Apple Pro Shop. I don't know. But like, we have to separate this thing where it's this magical thing you used to see on VH1 Behind the Music, and it's an actual life you live and a business you run. And like, we have to take ourselves seriously, like we're productive members of a society, and not the starving artist that some of us sometimes get famous.
Right.
Like, this is a legit career. And that's another thing I discovered in Daily Austin Music, is there's a middle class in Austin of musicians.
Yes.
How cool is that? Like, let's work on that instead of propping up Red River with $35 million.
Yeah.
Unless, and like, if it goes to service industry workers that have been put out of work, if that goes to rebuilding a homeless shelter away from Red River Cultural District, if that goes to cool stuff, I'm all about it. Let's do this thing. If it buys property, that doesn't help anybody, man.
Doesn't help. Doesn't help one person at all. Exactly.
Like, what are you going to do? Cheer up Charlie's into the rent that they had in 2016? Okay. That's still a $4,000 too much for a bar like that to operate. You know what I mean? Like, it just sucks, man. And I got nothing against Cheer Up. I got nothing against any of the bars down there. But like, the wool that's being thrown over people's eyes about this property buy and this stuff, like, it's crazy. Like, it's just a bold
I think a lot of people
face.
are just so caught up in everything else that's going on that they aren't noticing it.
They're taking advantage of it because they're smart, and that's how smart people make money.
And TJ went to a meeting, about the vamping I-35 right before all this happened. And then now you don't hear anything about that.
Their emails for that I-35 program have stopped sending out to everybody. Nobody in the community is getting them anymore. They just totally stopped.
Our city ghosts us all the time. They ghost us all the time. They were supposed to match our hot funds, $1.5 million, $1.15 million. Supposed to match that to the homeless. I think they call it the homeless issue in the actual paperwork in City Hall. Gone. Nothing. Yeah. And they stopped talking about that as soon as they put the ink in on that convention center bill. As soon as they did that, it was done talking about us, done talking about homelessness, done talking about anything other than let's build this giant convention center. And then this happened, and now we're here.
That's right. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Yeah,
yep.
Like, the convention center is going to. I'm interested to see what happens with all that, because, like, I don't know if you saw in the news lately, the Ryman, the Nashville whole thing. They were going to buy, ACL and that whole block with the W and everything else. They pulled out because of the economy.
All
and
this,
blah blah blah. What's that mean? You know what I mean? Like, when is the last time you heard anything remotely like that about Austin real estate? Somebody pulling out of a deal in Austin.
Yeah, that's how much things have changed.
You know, and I may be completely uninformed. Like, I don't know. I get my news from Reddit, but like, you know, like that's not something you hear a lot.
More and more, I just keep blaming Greg Kassar. That guy just Greg Kassar. He's an easy one. He's an easy one in this city to blame.
I don't know. I don't know him from Adam. I don't know.
That man just stands around all day and twiddles himself and just has this big old shit grinning smile on his face. You just go, good night, man. Leave this city, please.
Obviously, we're not afraid to say what we think on this.
Oh, dude, I'm not either. I just don't know him from anybody. So
I don't like to go into politics, but I got some things against.
Well, no, when you have a Home Depot in your district and you say, I don't know what to do with the homeless issue, it's like you have a fucking Home Depot that's been vacant for however long. And that's a whole separate fucking issue. But anyway,
15 years. Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere. I love this place. I love these people.
You come into this city and you're giving us as natives such like just recognition and appreciation, and I'm very thankful.
Well, there's like 8 of you,
but you know, and this is why we started this whole podcast. Get that native perspective. Nobody knows about it. Nobody's hearing it. Nobody's hearing from us at all, and that's why we started this. You know,
nice.
How do we get people on the understanding of keeping Austin?
That's just the people, man. It's just, and you're doing exactly the right thing by interviewing people that make this place cool. Because like y'all have been to other places, other people suck. Like straight up. And there's a lot of sucky people that live here, but like on the whole, on the average, on relatively, like awesome. Like I can always get in the weirdest, strangest conversations you've ever been in your life right here in Austin. And like you can't trade that for anything. And like that's the thing that I think we fail at the most, is getting that across. And it ends up sounding like, oh, we missed Liberty Lunch, we missed this, we missed that. No, dude, just be cooler. That's all you have to do. You can fix it right now by just
carry into what that place did for you and take those values into the next place. That's all you have to do.
Not bitch about what used to be. Be what used to be.
No matter where you are, every city changes. Good God.
Yeah, and it should. Who wants to live in the same place? You know what I mean? Like one of the things I love about Austin is like I'll go down, you know, a road I haven't been in 5 years and I don't recognize it. And like I used to live on that street and where am I? Like that's cool. I like that. I like growth. I like the opportunity. I like the fact that we're in infant New York. Like I like that. Because man, and especially true now, if you can make it playing music here, you're good, man. Like you can do it. And because it's incredibly expensive, but the opportunities are there if you're willing to put in the work. And like a lot of people are. And it's really cool to talk to those people. And that's like, I'm so glad y'all are doing this. And like the more stories we hear about people doing cool stuff, the more we can copy the cool stuff they're doing and just like be inspired and try new stuff ourselves. And like, that's how we're going to make a new industry and a new community for the music business.
For sure. Yeah. Cause I've been hearing like either a lot of defeatist attitudes, like, oh, well, everything's fucked. And so now like I'm screwed. I can't play music anymore. Or like, it's going to go back to everything being normal soon enough. Like, let's just get back to it. And it's like, no, dude, let's reset everything.
Yeah. And that starts individually, you know, that starts each person changing how you interact. And that starts with what I'm really interested to see is when everything starts to kind of open back up and bars start sending out booking contracts. What's that look like now? Have we learned our value, or are we just so desperate to get on stage and be seen that we'll take that $150 for 5 guys to play 3 hours? That's going to be the line that we have to figure out if we're going to cross or not. And that's kind of the deciding factor for the live music aspect of it anyway, of what's going to determine the next decade of Austin music, and who can be here. And that goes again, if there's 10 really good clubs, they can afford to pay a lot more. If there's 60 really good clubs, they can afford to have a band play for free. It's just math, man. Like, so let's see which side we end up on. We might end up with 10 clubs that pay like crap. I don't know. But I think the people are cool enough not to make that happen. Because you got to remember, like, the people that are doing music first venues, they've either got to be really cool or like just straight up crazy people. Because like nobody does that for fun.
Nobody does that really to make a living.
Like unless you have to do that, and that's just who you are. I have to run a venue. I have to deal with that's and those.
Unless you love the music and you love that whole scene, then you.
And those people are generally pretty cool, man.
And so, it's one important thing to remember and know that anybody that's crazy though never knows they're crazy.
Oh no, that's not true. That's not true. Self-awareness is everything, man.
Yeah.
I haven't thrown anything since we got on this call.
But then as well, there's also denial that goes with it as well. And that plays into just fucking the whole thing up.
Right. Yeah. Man, just, the whole thing about Austin is we're very lucky to be around so many crazy people that we get
I love it.
Be crazy too,
Right.
Man, thank y'all.
Well, cool, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. Like, I really just wanted to have you on because, like, I've watched what you've been doing for a long time. I've appreciated what you've been doing for a long time as an artist, and like calling people out and saying, work harder, do more, do better, like it's really what we need to do. It's what we needed to do before this, and it's definitely fucking what we need to do right now.
Yeah. And to that, like, I'll say, like, you hear a lot of people talk about, you try this diet or this exercise and they're selling you this and they're selling you that. If you just like eat less and work out more, you lose weight. If you just work harder and do more, better, faster, you are more like, that's just like, it's not magic.
When you're going to make mistakes, just make the mistakes and learn and move forward.
And make them in front of people and go, I did that. That was my bad. I'm sorry about that. We will all learn from that. Hey, everybody, check this thing out that I just did.
Everybody that is somebody made some fucking mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're fun to watch, man. And a lot of the mistakes we make end up being the coolest thing we'll ever do. You'll never know unless you're able to fail in front of people.